Right now, we want to welcome in a very special guest on the program who I know you will recognize. He is the Attorney General in the state of South Carolina, Mr. Alan Wilson. Mr. Attorney General, great to have you on the show today. Thank you kindly for being so gracious with your time and waking up early to talk to us.
Thank you, Julie. It's great to be with you. We really appreciate the coverage you all provided during the trial these last 6 weeks.
Oh, it was really our honor and our pleasure to do it, and really great to get such a close look at justice happening. And we at Court TV have been so impressed with the advocacy done by you and your colleagues in your office. It was tremendous advocacy and really a commitment to excellence in the pursuit of justice, and you all deserve to be commended for that.
Well, thank you so much. I couldn't be prouder of the men and women in our office, Creighton and the rest of the team. They were fantastic. They did an absolutely amazing job, and I couldn't be more proud of them, as well as the men and women in law enforcement that were our partner agencies.
Sure. And we know you are a very, very busy man, and you actually did something really unique here that we don't often see with attorney generals, where you got your hands dirty, so to speak. You got into the trenches, you joined your colleagues. And one of the most pivotal moments at the trial was that moment that you created where you did the demonstration with the shotgun with Dr. Kenny Kinsey. We were talking about it on the show yesterday. The doctor came on as a guest here on this program, and he gave full credit to you, Mr. Attorney General. He said it was all his idea to do that demo. How did that come to you?
Well, as I was watching the defense's expert on their case in chief, I saw them demonstrate how they believed that someone had gotten inside the feed room and shot and Paul contact shotgun to the back of the head, and it seemed implausible to me based on the size of the feed room, based on the width of the door. And I was talking to Dr. Kinsey. Kenny and I were talking in one of the downstairs rooms before we went back upstairs. And I said, Kenny, this doesn't sound right. And so we reenacted it in a doorway. And I said, this doesn't work. We need to demonstrate to the world that's watching this trial that this is an implausible theory, that it could not have happened the way the defense said that it did. So I said, let's go ahead and do it. Kenny said, well, I want you to point the gun at me. And I said, I don't know if I can do that, but I'll try. Which is why I had the gun to the right side of his head. But the point is that it demonstrated the implausibility that the defense's theory was trying to say, that a shooter got behind Paul and shot him from the back of the head and was then incapacitated from that blowback, and therefore there must have been a second shooter. So we wanted to demonstrate that couldn't have happened.
In that moment, it really helped it all make sense, and it helped debunk the defense's theory right there. It was quite a pivotal moment in this trial that I like to say on this show really tipped the scales of justice in favor of the state of South Carolina. I want to ask you, please, Mr. Attorney General, what is next for Alec Murdaugh? We know he's got a lot of legal problems. What can we expect to see pursued in the immediate future in terms of the other charges pending against him?
Well, one of the questions I've gotten from people on the street is, are you going to continue to pursue the financial crime charges that we've all been talking about? After all, he's been sentenced to 2 consecutive life sentences. He's not going away. He's not coming back. Obviously, he has his appeals, which our office will handle. But what I tell people is that, there are 99 other charges. Those all involve victims as well. And every victim deserves their day in court. So we intend to pursue justice. We intend to present those charges and bring them to court if necessary.
Do you intend to pursue the case with respect to the theft with Gloria Satterfield's sons first?
As to what order we're going to go into, that's all going to be dependent on obviously the availability of attorneys, the logistics involving, every victim has an attorney. Also, we probably just going to talk to the staff to determine which ones are ready to go.
Sure.
I believe, that could be a first one, but we'll see.
Sure. Okay, so really the clear answer is everything is to be determined at this juncture, because there are so many, and as I like to say sometimes with trying cases, it's like herding cats to get your witnesses all lined up and of course look at the court schedule and the attorney schedules.
And I have some shocking news for you and everyone watching this program. We actually have other cases. There's a lot of other work to be done, and so all those attorneys you saw for 6
Sure.
weeks in trial, they all have their own caseload. So we have to move other cases as well. But you can rest assured we're going to pursue those other charges.
Most definitely, most definitely. No, you all are very busy and did such a fine job. We hope everybody's getting some rest after that trial that was quite grueling, mentally, physically, I'm sure, for all of you. Mr. Attorney General, I want to talk to you, please, about something that's been discussed and a lot of people have wondered about, and that is the decision not to pursue the death penalty with Alec Murdaugh. We heard His Honor address that a little bit during the sentencing. We want to play that clip back now, and then we'll chat on the other side, please.
I don't question at all the decision of the state not to pursue the death penalty. Over the past century, your family, including you, have been prosecuting people here in this courtroom, and many have received the death penalty, probably for lesser conduct.
Mr. Attorney General, would you walk us through the very weighty decision that your office had to make in choosing not to pursue the death penalty for Alec Murdaugh?
Certainly. First off, a couple of things to consider. When you look at the efficacy of the death penalty in South Carolina, we are a pro-death penalty state, at least under our laws, but the efficacy has been not very good over the last 10 or 11 years. It's been many years since there's probably over a decade since there's been an execution in South Carolina. Also, you look at the time and the logistics and the cost of bringing a death penalty case. You saw how complicated and the logistical difficulty of this case, and it wasn't even a capital case. So it could have doubled the length of time of this case. The cost would have gone up astronomically, and the fact that even if we had gotten a conviction and then one in the sentence for death, that it could be 10, 20, 25, 30 years before we were able even to carry it out when you consider the appeals process. And then this case is also very complex, the nuances of it. On the front end, you're looking at the circumstantial nature of the case. What we wanted to do is we wanted to hold him accountable. And frankly, I'm a proponent of the death penalty, but I believe in this particular case, based on the words of what Judge Newman said, having him be visited by his wife and son every night while he sits in prison for the rest of his life seems like a worse punishment for this particular individual. Maybe not others, but for this one, it seems worse for him.
Understood. I wondered perhaps if Buster was a big factor, and which also leads me into the next question I have for you, please. How much contact your office had with Buster as a victim on this case? We know he lost his mother and his younger brother, incredible loss and trauma this young man has experienced, but we also know he chose to be a defense witness and show staunch support for his dad in all this. So part one is, was Buster a big factor in the decision not to seek the death penalty? And two, how much talking did you do with him prior to trial, please?
I bumped into Buster one time during the trial. It was a brief exchange, hello, hello. But others on our team have talked to members of his family far more. I've talked to members of the family, but what I will say about this is the last thing that we want, we recognize the unique position that this family was in. This is a very interesting and unique situation. Usually, the victims are on one side over the other, and there was a lot of conflict with some of the members of the family. We were trying to be respectful of the unique situation the family members were in. And obviously that was always in the back of our minds. There were a lot of factors, but obviously, understanding that this family has gone through so much. Buster lost his mother and his brother, and now he's lost his father. And of course, members of the family wanted to support Buster. I completely understand that. I respect that. But that was always lingering in the back of our minds.
Certainly, certainly. And how about Maggie's family, Mr. Attorney General? We had thought that perhaps at sentencing we would hear from them. Can you share with us why they chose not to deliver victim impact statements?
Honestly, I can't speak with firsthand knowledge about that. Obviously, we had a victim's advocate that was working with the families at the time, and I feel like in the immediate wake and aftermath of this case, I feel like they just kind of wanted to put some distance. These are my thoughts, not firsthand knowledge that I have, but I got the impression that they wanted to put some distance between themselves and this case and the office and everything that was going on, and we wanted to be very respectful of that. Like I said, it was a very complicated case when you look at it. Obviously, you had several members of the family taking the stand in the state's case in chief, and then you had a member of the family taking the stand in the defense's case in chief, and everyone's just trying to tell the truth. But obviously, with that comes that complicated situation, that conflict that was arising within the family, and we were very sensitive to that.
Certainly, certainly. If I may ask you about Attorney Dick Harpootlian and some of what folks have referred to as his antics in the courtroom and clearly putting on a show at times for the jury. How is that when you're sitting at the state's table? I would imagine it would be very frustrating. Would you kind of talk to us about things you wish you could say but really can't say when you're in those moments at trial?
You know, what I can say, Dick Harpootlian has not only been a fixture in South Carolina politics for decades, he's been a fixture in the criminal justice system. He's a well-respected attorney here in the Midlands, and whether you love him or whether you hate him, he is a respected member of our local bar, the state bar. And again, for those of us in South Carolina who've known Dick Harpootlian or known of Dick Harpootlian for decades, this was just kind of like his way. This is how he presents himself. I never took offense to anything that he said or did in there. Obviously, that's he was trying to represent and advocate for his client the best way that he could. And, some people out there didn't like it. Some people did like it. As for me, I recognize that the defense has a job to do. We have a job to do. I divorce myself from my personal views and feelings on things, and I do my job. And I have to assume that he's doing the same thing.
Most certainly, most certainly. Yeah, he's polarizing, right? Yeah, there were many viewers, who loved his style, and viewers not so much.
I think he likes that, actually. I think he revels in being a polarizing figure. I think he loves it. But and off camera, in between the breaks, he and Jim Griffin and the other attorneys, we were all very friendly. We would shake hands. We would sit in the break room and chat about things unrelated to the trial. So it was always very cordial outside of the courtroom during breaks.
And that's really great to hear. As you know, Mr. Attorney General, civility is so important at trial. Everybody is just doing their job under the law. Respecting each other is really key. So that's wonderful to hear that was happening. If I may, I know you're very busy and we have to let you get going. But before I do, I wanted to just ask you one more question, if I may, please. Is there anything that you wish you would be asked about this case and the process and your involvement that you haven't been asked already?
Honestly, I think I've been asked just about every question under the sun. I think the biggest question I got is, why didn't I do more? I did that one witness. And what I told people with that question is the one I've gotten the most, is that I put together, I assigned this case to an amazing team of people led by Great Waters. And when this case started, I told them I was going to come down there. I was going to fill in the gaps. I was going to do everything I could to support the team. They were doing such a great job. They didn't really need me that much. We would, late nights, early mornings, lots of time together working in the trenches, but when the opportunity came for me to contribute, I was honored to help them out, give them a little bit of bandwidth so they could focus on the closings and focus on other things that needed to be done. And I was just so proud to be part of this team, and I'm so proud of this office. So many people, Julie, told me that they did not think Alec Murdaugh would be convicted because they thought there were two criminal justice systems. There's a perception in South Carolina, in certain areas of South Carolina, that some people are beyond the long arm of the law, some are above justice. And a number of people that have reached out to me and reached out to friends and family who've conveyed this to me, that their faith in our criminal justice system has been renewed because of this trial. To me, that is the biggest takeaway for Alan Wilson, that right there.
Oh, it sure is. Restoring people's faith in our system, something that you and your colleagues ought to be so proud of. Mr. Attorney General, thank you kindly for coming on the show today. We hope to speak with you again in the future. Every good wish.
Thank you. See you soon.